Hey, Warrior Saints. Father Chris here. You know, in the last couple of weeks, I've been having a disagreement or a dispute with someone who is a dear friend. And it became like this, silly argument about stuff that I don't even know that we really even fully understand the content of the arguments. My reaction, my first visceral gut reaction, and I'm sure the same for the other person, was, I'm totally right. I need to show my points, I need to prove my points, I need to tell the other person why they are wrong. And in the content of the conversation, I have to win the conversation. And I was thinking about it. As you fall into that trap of winning the conversation, you're really not in dialogue. You're really attacking. Your pride is taking center stage because it's about me winning versus that person losing. And I came to realize that in truth, in order to have a person be of more value than my pride, I have to be willing to set my pride aside. I have to lay it down. I have to let it go. It's not about bolstering my argument, but it's about human relationship. It's about human connection. In order to have a human connection, that means I need to put myself aside. Now, was I right in the argument? Probably. Probably not. Who knows? But if I was so interested in winning the argument, I lost the connection with another human being. And remember, I had to tell myself, nobody can fight by themselves, right? So like if there's a fight between two people, it's always between two people, and both people are involved, and therefore both people are guilty of the argument. No one can fight by themselves. Well, other than Tyler Durden. So once you come to the realization that in an argument with another person that you're actually partly responsible, if not wholly responsible, what do? How do you solve it? How do you let your pride go? How do you set your ego aside so that you don't necessarily have to win the argument, but that you establish or at least maintain that human relationship? The first thing you have to do, and it's brutally hard, and I hate it, but you have to say you're sorry. You have to reach out to that person and actually apologize. You know, there is a story or a teaching that Jesus gives us in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verses 22 and 23. He says, as he's teaching during the Sermon on the Mount, that if you realize as you're offering your gift at the altar that your friend or your brother has something against you, then leave that gift, leave that offering right there, and go first be reconciled with your brother, and then come make your offering. Right? It's a fascinating passage. It's not that if you realize you have something against your brother, you're not supposed to have anything against your brother, right? You're supposed to have reconciled and worked that out. But if your brother has something against you, stop what you're doing, even the most sacred of things, and go make peace with your brother or your sister or your friend or your parents or your coworker or some dude on the street. Go first and be reconciled, and then go back and do whatever it is you're doing. At least you can begin to see that for the Lord, one of the most, if not the most important things that we can do is to make peace with another person. And to do that, we have to begin by saying we're sorry. Here's the really good news. When you do this, and I'm going to tell you to go back to that story I started today with, I finally just thought, it's not about winning, but it's about preserving this relationship. And so I reached out to the person and I said, you know what? Please forgive me. I'm so sorry that I offended or hurt you or whatever I may have done to cause estrangement or make you feel abandoned or angry. That's not my intention. I value our relationship and I want it to continue. And I got to tell you something. It was brutal. It was hard. I didn't want to do it. I was fighting with my ego because, I still, even to this day, I still maintain that I'm right in the whole argument, right? I really do. But I set it aside, not because I'm anything of any value, but I just gave it a shot. I experimented with it. And something incredible happened. There was like an actual physical weight was lifted from my heart. Like as soon as I got it out, it was because I had set that burden of pride aside and I got down to the business that really matters, the connection between human beings. Now, most importantly, that other person, they followed another scriptural proverb that I want to tell you about. In the book of Proverbs, chapter 17, verse 9, we hear, "He who forgives an offense seeks love." And so while it's our responsibility to go forward and ask for forgiveness, when someone is brave enough to do that to us, we have to grant it. And that person that I've been talking about, you know what that person did? They responded in kind, and they apologized. And they said they were sorry. And they also valued the relationship, and they want to work on moving it forward. And so now all of a sudden, I don't know who's right and who's wrong. Doesn't matter. But the relationship has health, has hope, and it has begun again to take steps in a positive direction. None of that would have happened if I fought to win the argument. None of that would have happened if I maintained that I was right and that person was wrong. But it happened because I was willing to say, I'm sorry. And so was the other person. And with that went healing and went forgiveness. And hopefully, a healthy relationship. So I want to challenge you today, warrior saints. It's brutal and it's hard because your ego and your pride is there. It's always there. It's always in front of you. Put it aside though. Give it a shot. Set it aside. Go to someone who you have a problem with, who you're fighting with, and just say, don't make excuses about it. Just say, I'm sorry for all that I've done to create this tension. They may not respond to you with forgiveness. That's their business. Let them deal with themselves. God will deal with them. But you, deal with you and go to someone, ask for forgiveness. At least you will have that burden released from you, that pressure relieved from your soul. And my gut says that if you do that, the other person's probably going to respond in kind. And then you can work on building that relationship. Give it a shot. See what happens. And remember, in all things, train yourself to be a warrior saint. Till we see you next time, I'm Father Chris.